Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Aha. I can see stuff now. That's good. Okay. Well, it was working and then it decided to go offline. So now we are back online. It has been a little while. I have been, I had some obligations that kept me from being able to do any sort of regular streams. And now we are going to be trying to get back into the swing of things. I had a couple of obligations over the last couple of weeks, and this was the last major one. And so hopefully, later on this week, we should have the JavaScript game finished. It is very close. I worked on it while I was gone and got a lot of neat stuff done, including a couple of features that we'll be exploring. It took me a long time to figure out, but when I was in isolation, you could say, I was able to focus and get a lot of it done. So anyway, we have that coming out very soon. A playable version is almost there. I want to have the story elements operational. It will be a little buggy as I refine the whole concept. But yeah, overall it's going well. We'll cover that more later on in the stream. Haven't opened this up for a while. I do not expect to do well. Like I said, I do not expect to do well. Golly. Actually, while that is happening, I'm going to take an opportunity to share out the stream, which I don't do a whole lot in terms of compared to what other folks do. I very much do these things kind of carefree, do them in the moment sort of thing. Okay, copy that and go on over to X, put that on out there. Now I do post this stuff, but I've seen some people, they'll be very dedicated. Casual Fortnite tonight. There we go. Some people will be very dedicated. And I can definitely agree that matchmaking error. Oof. Turn to the lobby and try it from here. It makes a lot of sense to try and lean in hard to try and build up streams. I don't see the benefit for that, and so I kind of avoid it for the most part. Just a second. I changed my camera for a stream with Dadman, and I didn't put it back. Which reminds me, we do have a stream with Dadman later on this month. We're going to be talking about storytelling. It'll be a fun one. I enjoyed talking about storytelling, going over the pros and cons of different strategies people have used throughout the years. But I gotta say, I have there's a couple of stories that I cannot stand. We're going to explore that later on, and I'll probably bring it up with the Dadman stream as well. It's something I've mentioned beforehand, and it has to do with the subject. The subject of your story can instill many different emotions, but there's one that does not pay off. And that is fear. Fear is not one that benefits the audience. It doesn't benefit you. All it does is it gives money, and to some people, that's all the motivation they need. I am, I've seen what it does to people, what fear does to people, and I'm not a fan. I'm actually about as anti-fear as you can get when it comes to storytelling. And I do have a story that I've been writing for many years that does have some, we'll call suspense elements that could be interpreted a little bit as horror. But it all is built in with hope. It introduces something in darkness, but shows how light overcomes it. That is where the story stands out differently. And I've been really wanting to tell that story again. Especially recently. Ooh. By the way, we don't do a whole lot of Fortnite streams anymore. We did quite a few of them over the Christmas break. We will not be doing them in such frequency moving forward. The interest that people have in it is subsided. The people that were really interested in it have moved on to other activities, which is perfectly fine. But I need to also move on to other activities. And one of those things has been creating my own games now. It's also been into writing stories. A lot of it has become very much project focused because the group activities doesn't quite pan out like it used to. Oh golly. Thought it was a good hiding spot. But anyway, streams do have to come to an end, and you have to try and revamp how things are. Otherwise, the streams start to fade, and interest in that completely dissolves. I watched that happen with a couple of streamers. They were pushing hard for kind of their tried and true stuff, and it faded very quickly. And they didn't know what else to do except double down. They started going to from 3 hours to 4 hours to 5 hours, trying to figure out how many hours they had to go just to get it to start being successful. For me, it's about impact. It's not about, it's not about trying to become a game streamer. It's about trying to find a way to inspire interest in some of the other projects that I have going on. And this was a way to try and do community building in the midst of that. Because I saw a need, and well, if the need's not there anymore, then there's no real motivation to try and get it done. But there is motivation for the stories, because I have actually had a couple people reach out and actually say that they really did enjoy the stories that I've been writing. So I only have one that's been published yet, of which you can read it for free on the website. But I do have some other ones that are going to be coming out soon. And There may be an interim story that comes out too. I don't know. I have to wait and see how hard it would be to try and pull off. The story Pharaoh and the Smith was actually an interim story. It wasn't like a major story. It was more like to prepare the website for publishing stuff, as well as to get people to understand that that was actually something I was going to be leaning into. But it wasn't something that I was necessarily looking at and thinking, okay, this is going to be like the big project. No, it was the in-between project to kind of help people understand some of the ideas that I had, while it takes forever to kind of get some of these other stories to be finished. Oh no. Was that a bot? That one's not. Golly. So, one of the challenges of trying to find a project to get established on is trying to figure out how much time to dedicate to it before you're like, okay, I'm in over my head. Sometimes you double down on something and you just have to keep doubling down until it's finished. One of those for me is Milo and the Demon Bear. That story has gotten much more complex, and I don't have any other choice really but to double down until it is finished. That being said, I have not written on it recently. I need to start that again. Once this JavaScript game is finished, then I can go back to that hardcore, you could say. Because the story's almost finished, I need to flesh it out, and I was taking a little bit of a break, and the project that I took on during the break was is been growing. I'm not going to allow it to grow much longer. I just need to get the basic story done and then just publish it. And then for the reskin, I'm going to take some time to think about it and probably do it later on this spring or summer, because there's going to be two versions of this game. There's going to be the one that comes out, which is kind of the gimmick joke that was for the D&D community, and there's going to be just kind of a generic placeholder for the real project. It is going to be based upon a sci-fi story that I wrote years ago, and it's going to be like a little sub-story of that saga. So if people have an interest in seeing that story grow, then there's the ability to lean into the tale that I've been pondering for years. Interestingly enough, the sci-fi story is one of my very first stories I ever had. Not the first, but one of the first. And it originally started out as a joke. And over the time of telling it, because I would tell it to basically just siblings. But what started out as a joke, just for entertainment value, started to grow, and now it has a lot of potential, because I took one of the concepts and explored it for a while and found some really neat potential with the tale. And sometimes you have something like that. You have an idea that has potential. You don't know how to actually follow through with it. So you just kind of gotta put it on the shelf and then wait for it to become a possibility one day. Uh-oh. I think that's a bot. Oof. I'm not doing well. But I knew this was going to be the case when I started. Oh, here's the bonus one. So I was like, I thought there was more than that. So many of these characters I would never, ever think of using. Like that character, I would never play that character. Because I like to play characters that I like to associate myself with, which would be something like this. So when they have Battle Pass, it's kind of weird that they have so many extra skins that you'll never want to try. Or at least if you're someone like me. So, sci-fi story. It started out as like it was based upon a joke, like I said, and sometimes a joke can inspire something. And what you laugh at one year, years later, you might be saying, "Dang, that actually that's no laughing matter anymore." Suddenly, it sounds like it could be epic. Well, you don't start making the story right then and there. You have to give it some time to grow in your mind. Same thing with another story, another sci-fi story that I've been thinking of. I started thinking about it back in 2013. It was the summer, if I remember. No, it was 2012. Summer of 2012. And I saw a movie, and there was a scene that made me start thinking about genres that have not been explored or been very poorly explored. And there was an idea. It was based upon a drawing that I did when I was young, where I was thinking about the same sort of thing. And I came up with an idea that was completely ridiculous. And during 2012, I looked at it again after seeing this movie and thought, oh, wait a minute. If I look at it with the same potential of what somebody saw with this movie, there might be something really interesting there. And after a couple of pages of exploring, I put it on the shelf. It's like, I can't make it work. I don't know how to actually make it make sense. That seems like a bot. So I looked at the idea years later, and I went over to the coffee shop, and I looked around, and I suddenly got an idea again. And I thought, well, maybe the idea will not last. Kind of like back in 2012. It might be there for a moment and be gone. And suddenly, the story all made sense. It is the closest thing that I've ever had to a clear a clear concept from start to finish. I didn't have to worry about plotting a whole lot of intricate backstories that over the span of like months, it was all right there. And I've never had that happen with another story. I wish it would happen with other stories. Some stories I've been spending a whole lot of time trying to develop ideas. The only one that's ever been even remotely the same was Milo. Milo actually had, it was a very quick process of coming up with a story from start to finish. A span of days. And this is the second time that happened, but it doesn't happen as often as I would like. Hey, greetings there, Shadow. How you doing? But anyway, all that to say, sometimes you have stories that you have to just ponder for a while, and eventually they'll make sense. Doing good. How about you? Things are going decent. It's been a couple of days away. Obligations to relatives and working on projects. So this is my first time back after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So I'm doing something I won't be doing too terribly often, and that is playing games. I used to do this on a regular basis, but interest in it waned, and I got too many other projects I started working on, so the desire to want to even open it up has disappeared. I do it mostly with other folks that I know from the past on their streams or whatnot. Or at least that's the plan, kind of moving forward. Well, good luck with it, indeed. What have you been up to? Yeah, this little story has seen better days. I wonder how many places are like empty like this. I've seen photos of places overseas where some people will walk into a store and it's bare shelves like this. You don't have that here in America. Although, I gotta say, there's been twice where I've kind of seen that happen. So maybe it's something in our future. I don't know. Trying to learn League of Legends. Yes. I used to be a very proficient League of Legends player. Not quite a pro, but got pretty darn close. I got pretty high on the ladder when I was back at college. I was a Volibear main. I also did Garen quite a bit. But Volibear was where I got my real early success. And then they had to go and remake Volibear, and he became a shell of the bear he once was. Real shame. Game was fun. A little too fun. Very addicting. What sort of characters do you prefer to work with? I guess what sort of class do you prefer? I miss playing League of Legends. It used to be something I spent a lot of time doing with friends and whatnot. And then the friends stopped playing it. And then it was just me. And that's when I realized I was more of a social gamer. I like things that were a little bit more casual, because if I tried to go pro, I could. But I don't have the desire for that. There's a lot of things that you can do in this life, but trying to be a professional gamer just isn't high on the list for me. I want to do things that I feel like matter, that make a difference in people's lives. And while you could theoretically do that with games, I'd rather make something, rather build, create, craft. Man, I have a long ways to go here. Should have kept on that plane earlier. That or, pay attention to where the storm was. Ooh, what is that? Oh, that's the turret. That's worth grabbing. Please have some health down here. Is that health? Nope. Oh, that shield. Fine. Grab that. Grenade. No health. Health. There we go. Well, I hope you get the goal you've been trying to get. Much appreciated. Maybe one day it will happen. Some of the projects, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be up to audiences to decide. Man, that's a lot of damage that I lost to the storm. Ah, silly old storm. I used to play this game with a very pro player, and I had to learn the hard way of trying to keep up with him in the storm. He stayed in the storm. He refused to come out. He would hunt people inside of there, and it was actually quite effective. But man, the chance of getting eliminated inside the storm was very high. For sure you can do it if you believe in yourself. Possibly. Although I tend to not focus on that part too much. I have done many things where let me put it this way. I've learned that what I want doesn't necessarily pan out. If I had my way, I would have had a very different life. It's not about whether or not you believe in yourself. It's more like, do the good that you can for those around you. It's better to live a life of kindness and mercy and charity than fame and fortune. I've met people where they pursued dreams, and some of them found it, and it actually wasn't as fulfilling as they wanted. That was a hard lesson for me to kind of learn. I watched what happened to them, and I observed as some of them had a very surprising turn of events. They suddenly didn't want the success that they had found. Suddenly, all they wanted to do was get away from it. I've known a couple of famous people, and the thing that they would give it all up for is family and friends. I was like, wow. So I've not pursued my dreams as hard as I would like, in part because I've seen what it does to people. In my view, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Honestly, I'm somebody that believes that if God wants it to happen, He'll make it happen. And if He wants you to take a different path, gotta be willing to accept that too. In that sense, that's my path. Oh, there's a storm again. Speaking of paths, I gotta get out of the storm. Too bad you can't find an umbrella. That'd be nice. And then it protects you from the storm. I've not seen a lot of people this game. Oh, hello. But I hear them. Hello, buddy. There you are. Come on out. Oh, I'm in trouble. I should have used the turret. That would have been better. Kind of go down over the years? Yeah, indeed. Speaking of which, this game right here, I can only play OG right now. Thanks, Fornite, for being constantly updated and glitching. It's kind of weird that's the case, honestly. This is not the first time this has happened, by the way. This is the 5th major bug that has been introduced. I've contacted the company, and nobody knows or cares. Oh well. Speaking of which, before I continue, I want to, while we're waiting in this lobby, I'm still trying to figure out how to get the printed version of Pharaoh and the Smith. You can read that for free on the website, but I do want to have a little handheld version I can hand out to people. I mean, it's small enough. I mean, it's a little pamphlet that you can hand out to people. And I've already had a couple people read it. Some people find it inspiring. Others kind of find it to be mediocre and a little hard for them to fully understand. But for the most part, people have had very positive reviews for it, and so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm hoping that for the next story, I want to learn from this so that the next story can be really compelling, which the next story is going to be a novel. And we're almost there. I'm in the process of editing the story. The main story elements are there. And man, is it, at least to me, it's exciting. I've had a lot of fun writing this. And this was all because of a friend that was like, hey, I want to hear a full story of something you told. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can tell a full story about that. And now it's a 5-part series. I'm just starting on the first book because there is so much now that I want to tell. Story of Milo. And the goal is to try and make a really compelling narrative that conveys a lot of the values of the American West. There's been a lot of Westerns made. A whole lot. But a lot of them suffer from one thing or another. And usually it revolves around the problem of that they're either too short or too chaotic all over the place and whatnot, too modern or whatnot. And this is trying to find that balance. Milo and the Demon Bear, which by the way, that is not the running title, but that is the current title of it. Milo and the Demon Bear is going to get renamed when it finally comes out, and when it does, it will make sense why I kept the name secret. But the story is going to follow something that the American West was an actual plot line that you don't hear about a whole lot. And it's a lesser known part of the culture that I hope people can learn from and find inspiring. Well, that person was fun-sized. Well, I hope you succeed. I hope it gets famous and you can go see my country so I can read it. Which country is that, Shadow? We'll see. Fame tends to happen to people who kind of demand it. It very rarely goes to somebody who's not hunting for it. Although some people hunt for it, and then suddenly they spend all their time trying to find it, and it never happens. If it happens, then I have a lot of other stories I want to get done. So it would be nice if it actually is successful. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I've learned never to assume that something's going to happen. I made a lot of projects over the years, nothing's ever really taken off. Not like this balloon. But there was a couple of stories where I think I'm finally getting there. Philippines. Ah, yes. We've got a lot of viewers from the Philippines. Actually, no. It's amazing. It's like, I know so many people from the Philippines these days. And I knew none of them growing up. And so now they are everywhere. Fascinating. It's been fascinating, all the different friends I've made with that. Never would have expected that. Kind of funny, I have more Filipino friends than I have Canadian. And Canada's right next to Alaska. The irony. I should have got the second balloon up, but I was a little too lazy for that. Oh, golly. Where did you shoot from? Hello, buddy. Show yourself. Oh, there we go. Okay. Don't shoot the floating wolf. Beware. Expect the unexpected. Yes, indeed. Where did you go? I believe you're probably right around there. Really? Where did this guy go? He's a phantom. He comes and he goes, like the wind. So there's a couple of stories, though, that I've been in the process of making. And a lot of them, you don't, like I said earlier, you don't really know what people are going to be attached to and find fascinating. Milo was not actually supposed to be a story that I ever told. A little bit of backstory. Milo was a throwaway character for roleplay. It was supposed to be a one-and-done sort of character. And he wasn't even named Milo. He was actually named something else. And then the player that I was working with, that fellow actor, messed up the name. And so suddenly Milo was born. And I was going to have the character disappear in the... It's a fascinating story. It's way too long to cover right now. But it was something where providentially things can happen. And you can be in... God can do things that absolutely baffle you. One day I was fed up. I was like, okay, you know what? The roleplay is not working out. The story of Milo is stupid and ridiculous. I'm just done. And I was getting ready to get onto stream and tell people like, hey, this is the final story, and just kind of have Milo go off into the West and never be heard from again. That stream never happened. Because as I was getting set up, I suddenly had a horrible, horrible flu. It came upon me in a moment. I started to shake and shiver. I felt miserable. And I went and lay down. It's like, Lord, why did that happen? What was the point of that? I just laid there in bed being miserable all day. And people asked, because we had very big audiences during that time. People asked saying, hey, what happened? And I couldn't even get on my phone to respond. I was feeling so miserable. I just laid there thinking, what's the point? You know, in weakness, you start to... You might assume that you know the reason why you suffer. And sometimes you can believe that thoroughly for days or months, and then be surprised when that suddenly changes. Thankfully, I did not have to wait too terribly long. During that illness, I just was feeling miserable for myself, and then I suddenly started feeling better, And not only that, emotionally, I was feeling better. And I stopped and looked back at the stream that I was preparing to do and decided I'm not going to reschedule this. I didn't know why. About 3 days later, I suddenly had the idea for what to do with Milo. He was not going to be a roleplay character anymore. He was going to be a novel. But I didn't know how. I didn't know how to even begin. I tried multiple times to make the story work, and I couldn't. It's like there's something about the character that just didn't flow right. I wrote the opening over and over and over again. Absolutely no idea how to get it to work. And eventually, that's when someone requested hearing the story of the demon bear. And then suddenly it all clicked. And now the story is there. The story works. And it actually flows well with the story's kind of end goals. I started by writing the finish. I wanted it to be where someone looked at the story and says, oh, are you just randomly coming up with the story? No, it was written from the back to the front. The end of the story was the very first thing I wanted to try and do. So in the very beginning of the story, you're going to see a reflection of what is going to happen at the very end. And it'll be a mystery until then about which of those elements is actually going to be there. But hopefully it makes it compelling and you'll see a consistent narrative. I cannot aim. Oof. Guess God still has plans for you. Hope and pray. As long as we are in this flesh and blood, we have a role on this earth to perform. We don't know what it is necessarily until it is revealed. And even then, you can still be in doubt. And eventually, hopefully, you will get a chance to see fulfillment to that. But we won't always get to see that. Some of us will do something that won't be known about until after we pass. You never know. Some of the greatest authors in history were barely known about until it was their passing. Then suddenly everybody knowed. Some other people get found out early on. I was not such a person. Although I came this close. And I thought, well, obviously this is what God wants to happen. Surprise, that was not what was planned. Because as providentially as it was that I came this close, and we had I had a clout that was rising like this, and an audience that was rising at a fast pace too, interest in the works I was doing was increasing, and then it all came to an end in one moment. And I thought, wow, that's fascinating. As providentially as it started, it came to an end. Never assume that you know what God wants for you, but never doubt it as well. And that's what I learned from that. I had a moment to be used, and then I was taken away so I could be used somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see if that new path is going to pan out the way that I plan, or if God has a completely different method of how he wants that to unfold. In a couple years, we will see. Hopefully in a couple of months, it will become a little bit more clear, so that way I don't make a financially stupid decision, which I have made in the past. American finances are terrible. If you mess up just a little bit in your finances here in America, you lose everything. And I tried. I saved up a lot of money, and it disappeared in a split second. Golly. Oh, I since have learned to be even more careful with my finances. believe me, when you suddenly end up with unable to pay for something and you basically have someone come up and pay for you out of pity, oh, that is humbling. And then you're like, I don't know what happened. So the next time, hopefully, avoid that mistake. Mistakes happen, and we will learn something with it. Absolutely. Absolutely, there's Shadow. Oh, golly. There's a guy that I know. He also has dreams that he wants to pursue. He is finding incredible success, but not quite the way that you necessarily should. He started making things that were dark, sinister, hopeless. That's one of the differences between him and me, is that he found success trying to thrive on the stuff that made people fearful. I want to be able to make stuff that makes people hopeful, to give people that sense of that there is purpose, that there is meaning, and that there is a greater narrative in a character's story, as it is in each of ours. So each of the stories that you hear from me, in either now with Pharaoh and the Smith or with the others that I have in the works, I want people to see the narrative of hope throughout the story. Man, I am not in a good position. Oof. I want to see hope be the thing that people walk away with. Sometimes the easiest feeling to convey is fear. The easiest reaction to get is two things. It's fear and lust. Hope, courage, love, and mercy are very hard to convey. And I found that very fascinating, that when I was taking a script writing class. By the way, script writing class, I learned a lot from it, but you don't have to take a script writing class to know how to tell a good story. I do know that. But everybody else in that class went with horror or something that was relied upon other senses to try and stimulate almost like a chemical reaction rather than an emotional reaction. An emotional reaction is so hard because it takes time. You can't make it happen in a split moment. It takes a long time to create a deep, soul-changing experience. Bookstores or movie theaters are full of things that inspire chemical reactions. Hopefully, I still don't have that audio working here. Much appreciated there, Shadow. Thanks for the follow. I hear the audio, but I still can't get it to work between Twitch and OBS. For whatever reason, it still doesn't want to work. I need to get that figured out somehow, but for that to work, I actually have to test it more, and try and test the follow thing is a little bit more difficult. Much appreciated. Hopefully you find something of value around these streams. Oh, I did not mean to do that. But anyway, so to inspire hope is something that I've noticed in our culture, we severely lack. And it's also the one thing that can help people get out of depression. How many people how many people, when they're afraid or sorrowful, will turn to something that feeds off their fear and sorrow? It's actually a lot. And the reason why I became so hardcore in this value, oh great, the balloons are betraying me. Okay, you know what? We're out of here. Balloon time. Get out of here. Ah, shoot. I'm so bad at this game now. I need my hammer. So the thing that tipped me off to this was a friend that was emotionally acting strange. And I couldn't figure out what it was at the time. What I didn't know was that it was a very, very, very severe depression. And one day I found out that he was watching a movie, a miniseries. And he was like, he loved this series. He watched it constantly. And finally he wanted me to watch it. And I finally did, after he asked like dozens of times. And I was thoroughly disturbed, very disturbed by it. And he was like, isn't it great? And I said, it's kind of depressing, kind of hopeless. And he's like, but it's so real. That was the tip-off point that I wish I had known, because about 2 years later, he got into a very bad position, and his parents thankfully were there to help him, but it got very bad. We'll just put it that way. He's doing much better, thankfully. I actually saw that he's now completely recovered, and he's actually thriving. He's married, he's happy, and he has left the darkness behind. But the movie, the miniseries that he kept watching was feeding his sorrow, making his pain more real. It was like materializing his pain. And that's when I realized what he needed was hope. And that was the one thing that show did not inspire. It was the one thing absent. I think there's something honorable to go out and tell a story that has hope. We all have that ability. We're not restricted to just be victims in this life. We have the chance to take whatever things that we're struggling with and use it as a springboard to teach others. It may take us a long time to overcome our own struggles, but we do have that ability to help inspire someone else despite it. That's kind of a sad story. It was. Thankfully, though, like I said, thankfully he changed. But something like that taught me that lesson about how hard it is to when you saturate yourself with things that lack hope. See, there's been a lot of times in my life where I look at things and I'm like, it wasn't so bad. And for me, it's not that life isn't necessarily full of struggles, but it's that we have the choice to be able to find the good in it. I was overseas. I was living in Europe, and we were I was at an art summer camp. It was kind of a cheap summer camp, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. But during it, there was a student there who was emotionally in grief, and I had the ability to help that student, but I didn't know it at the time. Because what I didn't know was how much he was struggling. And then I learned after it kind of like became, after he like revealed it, it's like, oh my goodness, I did not realize. But he was somebody that went from sorrow to suddenly having hope and joy. But always based upon a mindset, which side of him he was feeding. Was he feeding the side of hope or feeding the side of discouragement? And we all can make that choice. We also can make that mistake. And that's why it helps to encourage one another. In fact, the Bible talks about that constantly. It's like we are supposed to encourage one another. Because life can get so very upsetting at times. And you're not going to be able to avoid those. But what you can do is help others when you do see them in pain, when you do see them hurting. And then you might change their life entirely. There was a student who I went to college with. I did not chat with this person a whole lot. And there was one class where this student took a moment to mention about all the things that were going wrong. And then everyone was grieving with this student, but every one of them was like, oh yeah, you have a right to be bitter and angry at the world. And the student just got worse and worse as the semester went on. Finally, one day I turned around and said, because the student had very loving relatives, I said, you have some of the nicest relatives who you yourself have said have reached out and to help you. Honor them, respect their kindness, and realize that they're trying to be there for you. Now, I didn't say necessarily that. I don't remember what it is that I said because I was so heated. And the student was just like shell-shocked. The professor was like, okay, we're going back to our class. And I didn't know what had happened. I was kicking myself. I was like, darn it, why did I say that? I thought maybe I had messed up horribly. Fast forward 4 years. 4 years, I was thinking I had just ruined this student's life, or I just made things worse. The student came up to me years later and said, you know what? I want to thank you for that. I was like, what the? I had completely forgotten about it at that point. I tried to forget about it so much. I was finally free of it. And then I was like, oh, you're the student. Oh no. And I wanted to run and hide, but then they're like, no, I was so focused on pain that I was forgetting to think about all the good things that were happening. And their life had turned around, all because of a mindset. Not necessarily a mindset I put in, but it's more like just reminding, like, not to lash out in your anger. You can be frustrated. You can be discouraged. You can be sad. The real question is, will you let it define you? And will you let it define how you interact with others? That's the real difference. And that was the takeaway. It can be tough when you're in the middle of pain to try and wait that long. But eventually it starts to become clear. And when it does, you have a story that you can be able to share with others to help them in their struggles. Again, the hope factor. You can have a tough story and also have it inspiring and hopeful. You can have an audience grieving and also laughing. You can have them filled with anger and also rejoicing. A good example, one of my favorite examples, is The Lion King. I love The Lion King. It is a great story. It's got humor. It's got great music. It's got heart-wrenching scenes. It's got villains that are compelling. And it's got hope in it. And when it comes to the end, you're like, wow, what an incredible experience. That's the story. I'm like, this is what I want to be able to tell one day. Lord of the Rings is like that too. Great narratives. Well, if we do good things, maybe someday the good we do will return to us. Possibly. If nothing else, we can help the pain and frustration end with us. I remember seeing a photo of it was a painting that was done, and it showed a father who was holding a document, and he was greeting his kids, and the kids were happy, kids were joyful, and he was what the kids don't realize is that the father is dealing with horrible atrocities that were taking place, but he was making sure that those terrible things were ending with him. He was making sure that the burdens that he bore were not going to become the burdens that his children would carry. The suffering was going to end with him. Or like with my character right there. The best thing we can do is to do good for others, to inspire, to build up, to shape. My country needs to think about that more. Hey, greetings there, Wolfie. How you doing? But anyway, I wish that more people would actually think about that hope factor, because it's very easy to get discouraged and get down a rabbit hole of depression. And to be able to help encourage people and point them back to hope, that is a skill set worth having. God, I need more ice. It's too warm in here. Be right back. Tell you what, when you're gone for a week and a half, you need to go out to the grocery store to stock up on stuff again. And man, I need to do that. Hanging in there, about to call it a night. Saw that you were streaming and wanted to pop and say hello real quick. Indeed. Well, hope that you have a pleasant rest, sir. Hopefully you find some good success with your projects. And look forward to hearing an update about it sometime. Anyway, whenever you doze off, hopefully it is a pleasant series of dreams. Speaking of which, my brain was like on fire the last couple of days in dreams. I have never been one to like dream a whole lot. And I was like plagued with dreams. Like, what is up with this? It was like almost frustrating. It's like, I just want to go to sleep. I want to wake up and press on with the day. And then here I am stuck in hours long dreams. I'm like, wow, that's really kind of surprising. You know, last year on Christmas, saw a father trying to get his family money for something, I guess. I think I'm missing a part of that story there. Where is that chest around here? Oh, there it is. Ta-da! How much does this give me? Okay. By the way, that reminds me, I need to, I forgot something else I can look into business-wise. Just a second. There we go. I keep forgetting something, so I need to make better notes. My notes are all over the place. All right. Hopefully this time I last a little bit longer, maybe to second or third place. We'll see. My ability to just survive in OG is not good. Not compared to like when I'm using the hammer. I miss the hammer. Or no, the grapple blade. That's the one I really miss. That was the one I was actually pro at. And won a whole lot of games with that. It was almost too easy. And then they nerfed it. I never saw anybody else using it. And then, lo and behold, I had the unfortunate realization that they had nerfed it and they got rid of it. So sad. Yes, missing something because I heard from him that it's a struggle for him because some people don't kind of trust him because of the trauma on people here because they get scammed. Ah, yes. I know how that goes. Up here in Alaska, we have a lot of homeless people. Percentage-wise, it's way higher than what it should be. And there's some political reasons why. There's some cultural reasons as to why. But one of the biggest problems is that a lot of these people make a lot of money off of handouts. And then they use it on drugs. And so then someone comes up and says, hey, I need money for food. And you're like, wait a minute. A lot of our taxes are going to help you. I saw one of them. He walked into a restaurant and opened up a wallet with more money than I've ever seen in a wallet before. And this was a homeless guy. And I looked at it and thought, how is that possible? And so, yeah, sometimes you see something like that and you're like, do I help someone when they come up and ask for it? Do I not? It's a tough one. I remember walking by somebody. They were hunched over. They were covered in blankets. They were mumbling to, They're mumbling to themselves. And then the moment I got past, they opened up their eye, looked up, and then saw that I noticed them, and they quickly pretended like they were like suffering again. I did not give money to someone like that. But then I found out that there was somebody who was hurting, and I had no idea because he didn't convey it. And he was financially in a very tough spot. So it's tough. Sometimes you can get deceived enough to where you just assume the worst. That's why it helps to know your community. You can't necessarily expect to help just anyone, but you're going to be a lot more willing to help somebody that you're familiar with. Maybe not a friend or a family necessarily, but somebody that you see enough to where you're like, I know your story, and yes, I can help you. You have a lot more motivation for stuff like that. But when you get random people, yeah, it gets tough. It gets real tough. Especially nowadays. Man, there's a man that owned a multi-million-dollar business, and he was going out and panhandling for the fun of it. And he made a massive amount of money. It made so many people upset because he was making I think he said it was $100,000 just by panhandling. And he was already rich. I'm not doing well. I did not do well. Blast. Well, at least that guy didn't do well either. Golly. Also, he's with his son, and they look like they really need money and food. And I kind of feel bad for them. That's a tough one. Only you can know what the best solution would be. There was a guy that reached out to me a couple of years ago. He was pretending to be someone who's in a tough spot. And he was trying to scam me. And I caught him, and I pointed it out, and he was like, well, oh well, I guess I'll go try it on someone else. I said, no, buddy, wait. Keep talking with me. I want to know your story. I'm not going to get angry about it. We've already established that you were trying to scam me. I'm not falling for it. Let's talk. And over the span of several weeks, we had many conversations. And I learned that after a while, I finally got the true him out of it. And because he was a very bad liar. We'll just put it that way. So when I finally did get the truth, it was like, okay, yeah, this is very clearly a different story, and this makes a lot more sense. And he was actually in a very bad place. He was a scammer, but he was somebody who was suffering physical trauma from family members. He was suffering financial trouble from his community. He was broke, and he had somebody who was threatening him. That was the story I could get out of him. I said, just so you know, I cannot give you any money because I still don't have proof of your situation. But I thanked him for his story to tell me what was going on. But I left it with this. I told him it's because we were too far apart. We were a continent away. And there was no way for me to be able to truly verify. I said, is there somebody nearby that can verify your story? Is there a church in your area? Because I thought if he could go to a church, they would be able to know for certain what his situation is. They would know if he was trying to tell if he was telling the truth or lying. I believed he was telling the truth, but I wanted somebody who could offer him the real help he needed. Care. People that cared is what he really needed. Because what he was coming to think about was that all he needed was money. That money was going to solve all his problems. When what he really needed was somebody to actually treat him with love and kindness. Well, unfortunately, he wanted the money more than anything because somebody taught him that money was all that matters. And so when he realized I wasn't going to give him money, he was finally like, whatever. And he moved on. It's a tough one. I think about him every now and again because I don't truly know his story. And maybe if I met him face to face, I would have a different opinion. But at least in terms of what I could do when I was remote, that's all I could do. That's why it matters based upon what you do with your community. Your community is the thing that that you can be able to engage. I know my neighbors. I may not know them by name, but I've seen them enough to where I know if somebody's in trouble. One of my neighbors, I found out that they had a relative that passed. I didn't even know their name, but immediately I knew that something was troubling them. And because of that, I was able to offer some amount of encouragement, and even if it was just a little bit. Wow, we are terrible shots. Oh, because he was a bot. No wonder. Do you want to know what the father and son travel with? I am intrigued. What is it that they travel with? But anyway, I know what is going on with my neighbors a little bit better than I do with complete strangers. So I don't have a problem helping out a complete stranger, but I prefer to help out somebody that I at least know their face. There's another person who's nearby, not necessarily in the same place as me, a little bit further away. And I found out that they were like in a pretty bad way financially. They weren't doing drugs. They weren't causing problems. This person was just in a very tough financial spot. Didn't have a home. And I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to go up and help. And I didn't. And there was like this gut feeling like I should have gone back and done something. You're going to be left with those sorts of doubts. And like I said, it's tough to know. We're meant to do good. I know that much. But sometimes the most good you can do is a level of care that dollars cannot necessarily compete with. Friendship is the number one thing that can change a person's life around. But that can be tough. That can definitely be a tough thing. Ooh, there we go. Snipage. I used to be much better at this game. I could do things like that, no problem. Not anymore. Now it's kind of more getting a lucky shot. Let's swap that out. Where'd that guy go? He couldn't have gone up there. He must have gone over here. Only their feet. They've been walking so far away, and I don't know how they reach the place where I live. That is indeed intriguing. Indeed, very intriguing. Definitely pray about it. You may not know necessarily how to be of assistance, but and you may not get full clarity in your prayers, but you can definitely ask for clarity in this. And maybe it will be clear immediately. Maybe it will take a while. But it's good to have a heart that cares. That is something you should never be ashamed about. You should also never be discouraged about. To have a heart that cares for others is so crucial. Unfortunately, a lot of people in my country have started losing that. A lot of people have been becoming discouraged as time has gone on. And a lot of it is understandable. I know a lot of people that get robbed through scammers, for example. And so thus their desire for charity has disappeared. I know a lot of people who have been beaten, and so their desire to reach out to others is gone. I know other people who were fired, and their desire for mercy is gone. My country is becoming jaded, and I hope that doesn't last forever. But I can't deny that eventually that stuff does come back to cause immense pain and frustration. Hello, bird. Oof. Phooey. Can cause a lot of pain and frustration when things go so poorly. I myself have felt that. I've seen as people who are greedy exploit and abuse others. I saw it firsthand. I saw it as people who were in emotional trauma being mocked and ridiculed, and then watching as they financially fell underwater. And it jaded me. It made me no longer care the way that I used to. It takes time when you get hurt to go back and be willing to show kindness and compassion again. But we are meant to show kindness and compassion whenever we can. But I cannot deny that a culture can get pushed to its limits. And then it lashes out. And then you have to hope and pray that kindness starts to again return. That mercy starts to return. Because if we all become selfish and full of bitterness and anger, well, that doesn't help anybody. It just makes us all selfish, bitter, and cynically minded. Of course, I can help them by giving them food and water and money. That's enough I can give. I can give them. Indeed. Food and water is one of the best things you can give people. When it comes to money, that's where it starts getting a bit more suspicious at times. But food and water is definitely something that I would not have any hesitation for. Now, if they're going to ask for a gourmet meal, then you have to ask a little bit more of a question, like, wait a minute, we got a problem here. One of the best things that you can give people, now this is from, experience based upon history, is unleavened bread, or hardtacks, as my culture likes to refer to them. Hardtacks are really good because they last forever and they're very filling. Cheeses can also be good. Nuts are also a good thing to be able to give people, and it lasts them a long time. They don't have to eat it all in one sitting. They can take it with them. But if someone comes up and says, hey, I want to go to this 4-star restaurant, and you're like, wait a minute, no, we're not going to do that. My grandfather was a very charitable fella, very kind fella. He gave to anyone who asked. Hey, greetings there, Jersey. He gave to anyone who asked. Some people came up and said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm down on my luck. I don't know what to do. Can you please help give me some money for food?" And he said, "You know, I can't give you food, but I'm going to be going over for some lunch. If you want, you can come and join me." And then he would wait and see what their response was. Because that means that they had to go and he would buy their food right then and right there. And the reason why it was so important was because the majority of them would start to curse at him and say all sorts of terrible things as they stormed off. And then he would turn around and say, that person was looking for drug money. Because he was offering them food. They asked for money for food, and then he offered them food, and then they didn't want the food. That's my culture up here in Alaska. But that was something that I want to try and imitate from what my grandfather did. I haven't found the opportunity for it, but that's a goal of mine. Give him like a breakfast meal. Indeed, that can be good. There's a lot of filling food out there. There's also a lot of garbage. And unfortunately in America, we have a lot of people being given cheap food, like very unhealthy stuff for people to eat. And we as a culture have started to realize that we've made a mistake. And so a lot of companies were exploiting our poor by giving them bad foods, food that was like actually making them sick. And thankfully nowadays our government's like, nope, you can't do that anymore. We're going to start reversing course on this. And it's made it's going to make a lot of people healthier. And I hope it transforms their lives and makes it better. That time's pretty early in the morning here. Oh, golly. Hello, buddy. Oh, you're a bot. Okay. Anonymous. Too bad I can't use cars in this. I mean, other than the golf cart. Is that Batman? Batman, come back here. Oh no, Batman's better. Batman had a minigun. Oh, Batman went down too. Poor Batman. I think it's illegal to import food from the U.S. to the EU. It is true. It is true. There's a lot of food that we have over here in the U.S. that you are not allowed to sell in other countries in this world. It's ridiculous. Sometimes I don't want to see people suffering. I agree. There's the story in the Bible that the parable that Jesus tells. And you can't help but wonder if this was something that actually happened because of the way he told it. It was a story of of the rich man and the beggar. A rich man was living in luxury. He had everything that he wanted. He had all the food he needed, all the drink that he needed. He even had enough to he had enough to live like a king for the rest of his life. And there was a beggar at his door. And the beggar was there all the time. He was unable to care for himself. He was unable to have any sort of relief from the pain that he felt. He was hungry, and even the dogs were treated better than this beggar. And the rich man one day perished, as did the beggar. And when the rich man entered the afterlife, he was sent to hell, where he suffered endlessly, to where even a drop of water was all he wanted to quench his thirst in his agony. A drop of water. And he called out and said, please have the beggar go back and tell... The beggar, by contrast, was treated with kindness, and he was given everything that he needed. All his pains were gone, and he lived in peace and joy in the afterlife. The rich man became concerned. He didn't want others to end up in his same fate. And unfortunately for him, he was not going to be able to go back and warn them. See, the Bible is full of warnings against greed, against being selfish, against living in sin, not caring for the pains of others. And it mentions about the importance of building up treasures in heaven, storing them up. If you build a life of luxury here on this earth, it will wither and die. And eventually, you will have to answer for the choices that you made. If your heart and soul is focused on doing what is right, on caring for others, whether it's helping the poor, whether it's helping a neighbor, whether it's caring for children, as long as you are maintaining the importance of being a servant in this life, of giving of yourself so that others may find relief and joy, that does not go overlooked. And there is a reward for that. But those that don't have a horrible consequence for them. Now, thankfully, we are spared a lot of the suffering that can happen. That's one of the differences of being saved by the law versus saved by faith. See, Christ took away a lot of the risk that we face living in this life. He took on the burden of sin. That still doesn't negate the fact that we should still be caring for one another. We should be able to help one another, for the people that are suffering, to be able to help them, care for them, because that still doesn't go unnoticed. But it becomes a reward, a treasure that we will get to enjoy for eternity, versus the trivial stuff that we collect on this earth that we can never take with us. There is one thing, though, that we can take with us. That's other people. Those are the ones that you should care about and say, gold, silver, I can't take with me. But someone else, That's what I get to take with me. That's the only treasure I get to leave this earth with. There are many folks in this world who would give everything just to spend 5 more minutes with a friend, family member. We will get to spend an eternity with them. But the most important thing is to make sure that they have their needs met in this life. Hoarding and being greedy, serving yourself, doesn't pan out well. Thankfully, we're given an example to live by. And so we don't have to guess what is the right and wrong. We can know. And I am messing up. Oof. Boy, I was bad there. Quick art question. How many frames do you recommend for there to be actual frame changes in traditional animation style? Like 100 frames last 4 seconds in Blender. How many frames do you recommend? If you're getting started, brand new to it, do 10 or 15. Don't go more than that. I tried doing 24 frames per second. Not a good idea. I drew 100 images and it was pointless. I sabotaged my project by doing that. So yeah, focus on that. Focus on less just to learn the process. Speaking of which, next time we stream, we are going to be doing some artwork. I could not transfer the artwork over to the computer in time for the stream, and so we didn't do that tonight. But we will be doing it later on this week. I've been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and so now I'm in the process of doing animations, and they're going to be at about, I think I have it at 15 frames per second. I think that's the rate that I put it at. Anyway. Do you think if a person goes to church every single day, but not treating people good enough to go to heaven, or a person believing in God and treating people good enough? Let's put it this way. The Bible actually tells us about this. Nobody is good enough. Every one of us is deserving of the punishment for our sins. Every single one. No one is good. No one except for God. So thus raises the question, if nobody is worthy, how can anybody be saved? See, that is what Christ came to do. He came to save us because he knew that mankind's sins were always going to drag him down. Paul mentions that the things I want to do, I don't do, and the sins that I don't want to do, I do. Sin is a dead weight in this life. It is constantly pulling at us. You can't win your salvation through acts. You can't save yourself by a sort of ritual or procedure. There was only one way for it all to change, and that was for Christ to come and take it away from us. Let's put it this way. Let us say that you are, that you have, let's say you have a hot coal in your hands. It is doing damage to you. It's burning you. It hurts. And you're like, I want to get rid of this, but it's stuck to your hands. You can't get rid of it. This is a terrible analogy, but I'm thinking about this on the fly, so please forgive me on this. It is a pain that you can't get rid of. You're forced to hold it. You have to have it taken away from you. A lot of us, as human beings, we could theoretically drop it. Our human nature keeps wanting to go back to it for whatever reason. We keep wanting to return to sin. You can have it taken away. That was a terrible analogy. My apologies. My brain is like slightly fried right now. I come up with a lot better analogies on that regular basis. Why was I coming up with that one? Anyway, sin nature is very appealing. Let's just put it that way. Living in this flesh and blood, we have a desire to sin. It's like this right here. I'm a human being. I'm flesh and blood. I need water to survive. I keep going back to it. That's a good thing. Water's good for you. But some things are not good for you, and we keep going back to it. And sin is such a thing. We keep going back to it, but whereas water's good for us, sin is bad. And we keep having that desire. Well, gives me a chance to reset. We keep having that desire. We are in our flesh, and so thus we'll always have that desire. Christ knows this. That's why he had to come and say, you are forgiven. So that way, our flesh will no longer condemn us. Suddenly, the price is paid. It's not about whether or not you go to church. It's not about whether or not you follow every rule to the letter. It's about whether or not you believe. And in that belief, you're redeemed. And then you want to start to do good because it's out of love and a desire to do right because you're changed on the inside. That's the real way that you're saved. The Bible mentions about that in many different ways. It's one of the reasons why people throughout history have come from a variety of backgrounds. Some of them have been kings, others paupers, some noblemen, others criminals, and they can be changed. There's a man in my community. He was a horrible criminal. You never would know that at this point. He is a changed man because his soul, down to the very core, has been changed. You never would know that he had a terrible past. And now he is incredibly caring and incredibly charitable. He is a kind man. He's the type of man that you wouldn't hesitate to trust. That's what the gospel does to you. That's what redemption does. If you go through life and just think, well, that's it, I'm going to be punished, gets hopeless. But thankfully, we're given the ability to have a second chance. That's what it is. Hopefully it made sense. I know my brain has not been on fire tonight, so my apologies if that didn't make sense. The last animation I made was 101 frames, 24 frames per second. And when I stretched it out to 12 frames, 202, it still looked the same. So I'm just wondering how far I can go. It still looked the same. It sounds like an export problem. Should look like it's in slow-mo, that sort of thing.
matchmaking error. This used to be a big problem, matchmaking error. Sometimes you could press on it for like 20, 30 times. It still wouldn't work. Thankfully, those days are over. Image sequence. Stitching it back together in a video editor. Yeah, that sounds like a conversion problem then, depending on the software that you're doing it in. Stretching it out to have it 202, it should be in slow-mo. I would check interpolation for the frames. By the way, this will be the last round, and then I'll kind of wrap things up for the evening. Speaking of which, I was kind of surprised to find out that... oh, no, never mind. I thought we broke 100 subscribers on YouTube, and turns out we no longer did. But anyway, got very close, and it was during the time that I was away, which is kind of strange. What felt like only a bit. Very intriguing. I have to see it to be able to know for certain what's going on. By the way, speaking of which, Adobe has killed, or is killing, their Animate software. How very ironic. Adobe Flash, that became Adobe Animate, and now it is dead. Oh my goodness. It was such a bad software. Oh, it was a bad software. A lot of people really liked it. I hated it. It was so bad. It's because it rejected all like the fundamentals of traditional animation. It was trying to create a new concept for how animation was done. And it did not do nearly half of what it should have done. So, for me, I tried getting into Animate, but there's just so many problems. My very first animation was 2D animation was actually done in Flash. And then I tried doing Adobe Animate, and I got some projects done, but oh well. Clip Paint Studio is much better. And even Blender is getting pretty good. So I would support Blender over Adobe Animate. I don't see a weapon. There is nothing. Okay, have something. Oh, golly. Well, that's a reset. I can try to find the 12 frames per second one. The 24 frames is on your Discord. I'm working on another, so I'm just wondering how much animation time I can gain by just lowering the frame rate. Let us take a look. The 24 frames per second is on your Discord. Okay, gonna take a look here. Oh, I just saw the notification here. Okay, I completely missed that. That's from 2 days ago. All right. Ooh, look at that. Hey, well done. I mean, it's not really loading very well right now, but that's because it's on Discord. I like that. That's good composition. Well done. Okay, let's try downloading this right here. Oh, ho, ho, ho. You did it. You took it into Blender. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's... Good effort. Good effort. Okay, let's pull this up and take a look. Hopefully, VLC will operate here. Good looping animation there. Oh, I like the buoy in the background. It's going up and down with the waves. That's a real complex scene. Got the raindrops. That's a pretty good, actually pretty good frame rate right now. If we were to lower this, like manually like this, that also could work, and actually it does kind of look pretty decent. Yeah, this is a little fast, but if we lower it to half speed, this is what it should be looking like. I've also seen that there's a program that generates frames in between and the ones that are already made. You know, the benefit of Blender, you can stretch it out. Let me see here. Let me do a quick read through of the stuff that you have here. For ever to figure out. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Shading does take a lot of time to figure out. Feel free to also link me the file so I can see what it is that went on with it. So, because frame rate, you should be able to stretch it out in Blender very easily. And that's my first suggestion for that. Because also in Blender, you have the ability to stitch that image sequence back together. And thus changes frame rates inside of the video compositor. So whether you do it in editing software or whatnot, you should be able to slow it down manually. I wouldn't, if you want to fill in those extra frames, that's where I would just go into Blender and stretch out the original render. That's going to serve you better, in my personal opinion. I've had a lot of struggle with trying to stretch out frames that didn't quite turn out the way I wanted. And I would definitely say that going back to the source file is the best solution for quality. If you're looking for speed, you just need DaVinci Resolve. and it will blend it together enough for you. You just turn the frame rate to 50% on the time stretch, and it will solve the problem. Can't find the 12 frames. Yeah. One of the problems of Blender is that you should be able to like press one button and change it manually. Lightwave had this ability. I don't know why Blender doesn't have this ability, where you can actually convert the frame rate very quickly. It's at least better than Avid. Avid was a terrible software. And it was considered like top tier for the industry in terms of editing. And once you locked into a frame rate, it was over. There was no changing it. I don't know why they did that. They destroyed their program by doing that. I don't think I can send you the file, as it won't have a PNG sequence attached to it. I would only be able to send an empty animation without any textures. That makes sense. Depending on how you set it up, then yeah, it can get pretty big. If it's just like the basic PNGs or whatnot, not a huge problem. But yeah, if you have image sequences put into there, then yeah, it can become quite a hassle. That being said, let me pull up Blender, because this is actually a relatively easy thing to try and demonstrate. Okay. Let us get this all squared away. And you probably know about this already, but I definitely want to show this just so you know this is exactly what I'm thinking about. Okay, so let's say we have our cube here. We're going to start keyframing it here. Come over here. And let's end this at 123. It's a really weird frame to end at. So we want to speed this up, for example. This also works in reverse. So if you want to speed it up or slow it down. So we have this, let's double that, times 2. And let's duplicate this over here. Invert that. And have it so that it's pinging back and forth. Okay. So now the box goes one side and then to the other side. So we got a looping animation right here. I want to speed this up. Well, I can change the frame rate, or I can come back here and just compress it. Select all the keyframes, and I just press 0.5, and I just doubled the frame rate. Shorten the length of the animation, and now it's much faster. Still feel a little slow? Let's shorten it even more. Divide it by 2. And now it's the same animation, it's just faster. That's what I'm thinking about for yours. If you select all the frames by pressing A, then you have the ability to shorten it or stretch it out. That's what I would do. Hopefully that makes sense. Well, I look forward to seeing what the final one looks like. But you are off to, you're doing very good for those. It took me a long time to figure out compositing. There's not, it's not a super easy thing to get started with. Compositing, if you can figure it out, it opens up so many options for you. Yeah, I'm working on another. Excellent. I wanted to tell a story using scenes kind of like that. It's going to be a combination of animated shots together like that. And it took so long to do. And of course, I have so many projects. I was like, great, I can't get bogged down on this one. I have to be working on other ones. Golly. It's a real shame. There's sometimes you have an idea that you really want to pursue and you just don't have the extra flexibility of time to really pursue all of your ideas. I'm trying something different this time, like a faraway shot with a bit more dynamics. Hey, it sounds good. Anything to help stretch your skills. By the way, just a pointer to anyone out there who is in the world of arts, animation, or whatnot. For the first time in a long time, it looks like a lot of companies are starting to turn back to artists. People who have been protesting against AI for many, many years at this point have finally started to win. And companies are starting to realize, dang, we want artists back. Not every company, but some companies are actually starting to wake up. And Disney is one of those companies that actually is trying to rekindle their art community. Man, I wish I had the opportunity to try and put in for one of those positions again. But I missed that opportunity. I was shown the door as they outsourced. Uh-oh. Oh, that was close. I am so bad right now. That was way more risky than I wanted it to be. Uh-oh. Have some dynamite. Oh, no, wrong item. Phew. Close one. There's way too many people here right now. All right, upgrade. Super annoying for me to render a 4-second animation for 10 hours. Yeah, I know the feeling. Don't stress about trying to perfect it. Feel free to just use a video editing software to stretch it out. You don't have to fill in all the frames. Don't stress about it, because if you do stress about it, it can eat up all your time. Kind of like the animation I've been doing. I keep trying to make it better. It's still not finished. Which one's better? To have a finished product? Or to have a never-ending project? The only reason why I want to do it, why I wanted to really do a high-quality project, is because I've never been able to do one before. And I've done plenty of smaller projects and wanted to finally do one from start to finish that was high quality. That was why I was stressing about it. Oh, yeah, it takes bricks. Not bad. So if I can double the animation at the same time as the half short animation, that's a big win. I have a wooden PC, yeah. Also, the Eevee render helps out a lot, although it does take a lot more compositing, which you probably already are somewhat familiar with that. Eevee is the default render tool anyway. This thing is fast bullets here. Ah, phooey. So close. Anonymous? I mean, not anonymous, but, you know, acted like a bot, so I just assumed it was a bot. What the heck? Oh. Oh, what is it? Power Rangers villain. I never watched Power Rangers growing up. I always wanted to, but they were never showing on the channels that we had when we were living overseas. I was aiming for cycles from the start, so when I switched to Eevee, in the end it looked all wrong. I can always try renting a GPU online for $1 if it gets bad. I've seen a few Blender renders services sites online. Be very careful about those ones. I'm speaking of someone who's had to use them before. They are complete ripoffs. They will charge you so much. It would be cheaper to go out and buy a PC in most cases. If you're doing just one project, not a problem. The moment you get to 2 or 3 projects, you might as well buy another computer. That's how bad the pricing gets. And they don't tell you that up front. For one frame, it can cost anywhere between a penny to $1. Now imagine how many frames you have and start thinking about how many renders you'll have to do, how many re-renders you'll have to do. Most expensive shot that I did was $700. I could have done it for free on my computer. I was under pressure because of a client and I lost all the money that I was going to earn because of that, and I didn't realize the mistake. Very dangerous stuff. I do not trust any of those companies. I have a very bad opinion of them because they have ripped me off. And they don't care. Oh, also, they're not faster either. Most cases, they're not faster. I thought it was like per hour. It is, but you have to remember how long it takes per hour to do each of your frames. That's why it becomes such a big problem. Oh, that's a storm. I should get further inland, because my health's not great. I cannot risk the storm moving something further than that. Oh, fireplace. I want a fireplace. There we go. Now I put the fireplace right here. Right here. Right, come on. Fireplace. There we go. Fireplace right there. Wonderful. Come on. Okay, there we go. Just sit by the fire, playing me old banjo. I can barely hear that banjo. And the fire goes out. Whoop-de-doo. I used all possible tricks and optimized the whole animation for many hours. I managed to drop the original render from 33 hours to 9. Still 9 with 64 samples is way too long. Did someone shoot at me a moment ago? Oh, yeah, there we go. Skeleton monkey. If you ever want to have me take a look at the scene, use Google Drive to share the file, and then I can look at it and see if there's a way to maybe speed up some of it. Because I do know the frustration, and you can bang your head on it all day and it feels like you don't get very far. Because the rules of how to optimize a scene is tough, and you can fight with that for a long time. So I completely understand how frustrating it can get. But you did have a lot of improvement, which is very encouraging. But still, you can get it down much more, even on a simple machine. Or at least you can. Depends on how the scene is kind of set up. Sometimes things are not going to be so easy, as I've learned the hard way, but at least I can think of some ways to kind of help it along. All right, there's that buddy right there. Kind of weird that you don't use shift for the boost, it's a space bar. Whoa, that was a weird turn. Oh, I missed him. Oh, at least he got a whole lot of points. Ooh, health. I'm going to need that later on. Swap that out. Oh, golly, that's not good. Ah, dagnabbit. I've sent the blend file, but I don't know if the link works. Let's copy that link. Come on over here and give it a try. Anyway, exit out of this. Okay. I think the wind's picking up. Okay. 11 megabytes. Let's open and see what it looks like. Wait a minute. What is going on here? Oh. Oh, golly. That's right. I forgot to update Blender. Oh, golly. Stay up to date on Blender, folks. I remember why I didn't realize I didn't have this is because I had it set up for my work, and I don't have it on my project computer. I have it on my work computer. Golly. Anyway. Well, it's a good thing I figured this out now, because tomorrow well, not tomorrow, but later on when I was going to be pulling out Blender again, I'll at least have it good to go. If the downloader works. There we go. Bingo. I do like how very manageable Blender is, but it has been getting to a larger size, 344 megabytes. That's a bit more than what it used to be, which is good. It means more features, but it also means I can't do it right now. But I will take a look at that when that finishes and see what your file is like. And then the next time you're around, we'll address what is going on with that. And I'll link something into the art area and mention about what it is that I find out. I can't send all the PNGs as they are scattered everywhere on my computer. There is a way to do that. So are you familiar with packaging? Packaging is how you can be able to compile all the different elements that go into a scene. It does make the file a bit larger, but this is how I work with clients. You come up to the top left of your screen, and there's an area that mentions external data. Inside of there, you'll say pack resources. That is what you're going to want to add in, or packed link libraries if you're working with that too. But I think it's resources for you that you probably need to do. That is how you save it, and that is how you can share it and have everything all tied together. Because yeah, having it scattered around your computer can become a bit cumbersome. Be careful. That's how you can also lose stuff. You got to practice a good file system. I learned that the hard way early on, and I paid for it. Literally, I lost a lot of stuff early on. Anyway, that download is going to take another 20 minutes, it looks like. So I'm going to be drawing the stream to an end. This is our first time back in many days. We're going to be doing some pixel art and animations for the next couple of days as I get all the elements figured out for the JavaScript game. And then we'll start looking at the code once again and piecing that together. So most of the code is figured out, but we're going to be exploring. And we'll have to see how much longer it's going to take to figure it out. It just shows me the locations of the files. So how's this supposed to work? So let us demonstrate right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a mesh plane. Let us add in picture. Oh, perfect. Let's add in this. 5, 2. So right here we have an image that's loaded into the scene. And we also have a box as well. So if we go up to packaging, I can go to external data, pack resources. I just pressed it once, and you'll see at the very bottom, it says packed 3 files. So now, when I send this to somebody, it should have all of those elements put in there. But I'm just going to double check just in case. Pack linked libraries. Yeah, no, that does not do anything. So yes, pack resources. So now if I close this out, save changes. Oh yeah, I got to save this. So let's save this to downloads, test, packing. I'm going to close this out. Go over to my images, and I'm going to rename that element from 2. I'm going to put underscore. So that way I've deleted the number 2. Now I'm going to open up that package again. So this is the Blender file, and notice the 2 is still there because this 2 right here is now part of the file. That is how you send files back and forth with clients, because otherwise it can be quite frustrating. Anyway, that is the concept. Hopefully it makes sense, and if not, you now know what to look for. External data, pack resources. Anyway, we are going to bring this to a close. If you found anything of merit during this stream, I know that game streams are kind of boring for the most part, especially nowadays. They used to be quite energetic and kind of exciting, but that kind of ended after the first year of streaming. But if you found something of merit, consider giving it a like. Consider subscribing if you so desire. We're almost at 100 subscribers on YouTube. That's a long time in getting there, of which I think a lot of them are probably bots, and so I think will probably disappear. But anyway, we're almost at 100. On other news, got the JavaScript game coming up, like I mentioned earlier. Milo is still being worked on, and it's still looking good. I'm liking where the story's going. As we go into spring, start thinking about some of the things you want to see for the next projects. I do take considerations, and I do put a lot of consideration into things that people asked for. The JavaScript game was asked for 2 years ago. I may not be fast on it, but I still try and follow through with it. Milo, that was a fan request thing, and now it's like becoming a full-blown product sort of thing. But yeah, if people have an idea of things that they want to see, I may not necessarily be able to do it, but I will definitely take it into consideration. Until next time, folks, have a very pleasant evening or morning, wherever you are. Just remember this. Whatever status you have, whatever walk of life you come from, be civil to one another. Show kindness and compassion. And we will see you next time, whenever that is. Hopefully, not 2 weeks. Until then, folks, have a very pleasant evening.